A very warm welcome to you to the latest Pyramid Guy video. Many theories suggest that civilization as we know it didn't start in Africa, but on a long-forgotten massive continent that now lies at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. A place that only a few know by name, yet it keeps reappearing in the shadows of history. This place was given the name Mu. Many simply refer to it as the Pacific Atlantis, a lost world that vanished during a single cataclysm, taking with it all the knowledge and secrets of an advanced civilization, and perhaps the true origin of humanity as well. But how much of this is actually true? The myth of Mu began to take shape in the 19th century when Augustus Le Plongeon, while studying Mayan ruins, reached the surprising conclusion that ancient texts told of an even older vanished land. A continent that he believed could have been the ancestor not only of the Mayans but of other great civilizations too. And this idea didn't come out of nowhere, as earlier Charles-Étienne Brasseur de Bourbourg thought he discovered the name Mu in a mistranslated Mayan codex, which he linked to a sunken land. Le Plongeon took this thread further and connected it with the story of Atlantis, which was already popular at the time. However, the legend truly exploded into the public consciousness when James Churchward described the world of Mu in detail in a series of books in the early 20th century. According to him, he met a priest in India who showed him clay tablets written in an unknown language. Churchward claimed he learned this language and read the lost history of humanity from the tablets. He painted a picture of a massive continent that flourished more than 50,000 years ago and was home to roughly 64 million people. This civilization, he claimed, was more advanced than today's societies, and many later cultures originated from here, from Egypt all the way to Central America. The dramatic climax of the story was that Mu was destroyed in a single night. According to Churchward, a chain of massive earthquakes and volcanic eruptions tore the entire continent apart, which eventually sank into the depths of the ocean. The survivors then scattered across the world, taking fragments of knowledge with them, from which the known civilizations later grew. Well, that's a truly exciting idea, but there's one serious problem. Namely, all these claims are based on unverifiable sources, and according to the current state of science, there is no evidence to support them. Modern geology also paints a completely different picture. According to the theory of plate tectonics, continents don't just disappear overnight either. The Earth's crust consists of massive plates that move slowly, but they don't sink suddenly like a sinking ship. Moreover, the Pacific floor is mostly oceanic crust, with a totally different structure than the much thicker rock forming the base of continents. If a continent the size of Mu had ever existed, we'd clearly see its traces today, and yet the story just won't go away. Science says Mu didn't exist, yet it pops up repeatedly in books, documentaries, and the theories of those researching alternative history. So perhaps precisely because it awakens an ancient desire for our past to be more than what we know today, that a golden age existed, a lost knowledge of which only fragments have remained with us. And perhaps that's why it's so hard to let go of the question, what if science is wrong and Mu's story isn't just a legend? But as we dig deeper into the mystery of Mu, the story suddenly takes a new direction, stepping outside the bounds of traditional history. Here, we're not just talking about a lost continent anymore. Rather, we're discussing the idea that Mu was actually humanity's very first global civilization. Because according to some alternative theories, this society was not only advanced, but possessed technologies that are still hard to imagine today. Stories tell of flying machines, unknown energy sources, and knowledge that far preceded its own time. From this perspective, Mu is no longer a simple legend, but a lost golden age. These ideas are often linked to megalithic structures found in various parts of the world. Think of Easter Island's massive stone statues, whose origin and construction remain a mystery to this day. The same idea appears in ancient sun cults, which tend to emerge in surprisingly similar forms across distant civilizations, almost as if they came from a common source. From the paleoastronautic perspective, this common source could possibly have been a remarkably advanced ancient civilization, or perhaps even a non-terrestrial influence. Science, however, stays grounded here, because archaeology suggests these civilizations developed independently, adapting to their own environments. The similarities don't necessarily point to a common origin, but rather that human thinking operates according to certain patterns. And yet the question still remains, what if we weren't the first? What if history had a chapter that we know nothing about because it simply disappeared? From here, it's just a step to the world of spiritual interpretations, where Mu takes on a completely new meaning. Here, we're no longer just talking about a physical place, but an ancient state of consciousness or spiritual beginning. In this perspective, Edgar Cayce plays a key role. In his trance state readings, he frequently mentioned the history of Mu and other lost continents. According to him, these places didn't just exist geographically, but represented an early spiritual stage in the development of humanity. An era when the connection between the soul and the physical body was entirely different than it is today. In Cayce's interpretation, the inhabitants of Mu didn't just vanish without a trace. According to the story, after the destruction, they were reborn into other civilizations, bringing with them certain knowledge, memories, or even abilities. And this idea is closely linked to the concept of reincarnation, where the human soul returns again and again across different eras and cultures. So Mu isn't just a lost continent, but a kind of spiritual legacy that lives on within us, well, at least according to Cayce. Science, of course, doesn't accept this approach and considers it to be pseudo-history. There's no evidence that this kind of memory or knowledge from a past life can be objectively proven to exist. Yet these ideas remain extremely popular because they offer a completely different answer to the question of where we came from. Not just in a biological or historical sense, but on a much deeper level that's far harder to grasp. So, according to this, it's possible that Mu was never actually a specific place on the map. We might not find it in the depths of the ocean or stumble upon its sunken cities, but it could still have existed as a collective memory, an ancient story passed down through generations. An idea that resurfaces again and again as if something inside us refuses to let the whole thing be forgotten. And if we take this thought further, the question isn't whether Mu ever truly existed in the physical world, but rather why it still lives so strongly within us. But let's look at a few real-world locations that many people cite as potential traces of Mu. One of the most famous such mysteries is the Yonaguni Monument, located off the coast of Japan. I think we can call it that. At first glance, it looks eerily like a man-made stepped pyramid. Its seemingly regular lines, terrace-like structure, and monumental scale have already sparked many people's imaginations. Some researchers believe it could be the remains of a sunken ancient city, while others think it's just a trick of nature, where rock fractures and erosion combine to create these shapes. But is what we're seeing truly a trace of past intelligence, or are we just projecting something we want to see? A similar mystery surrounds one of the most peculiar ruined cities in the Pacific, the site of Nan Madol. This unique structural system consists of massive basalt columns, which, arranged on islands, were built upon a network of canals. It's as if it were an ancient water city, whose method of construction still raises very many questions today. Although science is able to provide an explanation for its formation and construction techniques, for the layperson, a strange feeling remains that it's as if this were more than simple human labor, as if it were a faint echo of lost knowledge. And it's not just these isolated examples that exist. In different cultures around the world, stories repeatedly emerge about sunken lands, vanished cities, and ancient catastrophes. Whether it's the legend of Atlantis described by the Greek philosopher Plato, or the hypothetical continent called Lemuria, these stories seem like different pieces of the same ancient memory. Of course, science sees this quite differently, because it often explains such similarities through shared human experiences, such as natural disasters or rising sea levels. Yet it's hard not to notice how stubbornly these myths repeat themselves in different parts of the world. And perhaps this is exactly what makes the story of Mu so powerful. Not necessarily the evidence, but the pattern that it follows. A story of a golden age when humanity existed on a higher level, then a sudden fall that swept everything away, and finally forgetting when only fragments remained. This narrative appears not only in the case of Mu, but in numerous other legends as well. As if the collective imagination of humanity were telling the same story over and over again, just with different names and different locations. In the modern world, this story has, of course, taken on a new form. In New Age movements and various spiritual trends, Mu is no longer just a lost continent, but a kind of ancient source of knowledge that can be reconnected with. According to some, this so-called old memory can be reached through meditation, while others say it's through special states of consciousness. Thus, Mu is no longer part of the past, but a kind of living idea that is constantly evolving and gaining new meanings. Then finally, we are left with the question with which the whole story began, only now viewed from a slightly different perspective. Namely that, according to the current state of science, Mu did not exist, at least not in the way the legends describe it. There is no clear evidence, there are no excavated ruins that would point to such a continent. At the same time, the story does not disappear. It crops up in too many places, lives on in too many forms, for us to simply wave it away. Perhaps Mu is indeed just a myth, a story that humanity tells itself to give meaning to its past. But I think Mu is simply a fabrication of church words. But I can accept that there was a highly knowledgeable and advanced civilization that disappeared, like Atlantis, for example. And I think the Atlantis story was reshaped into Mu as a result of a mistranslation, because as I see it, all signs point to this. But that is just my own opinion. You know, as I always say, write in the comments what you think about the topic, and feel free to express your thoughts in detail. And I will be back again next time at the usual time. Until then, you all take care of yourselves. Big hugs to you all and rock and roll.